Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, let's get original crew, man. We're back with another Nick Crowley. We have YouTube's darkest channels 6. This is the most recent one, so we said, hey, well, one of the most recent videos he got, so we was like, hey, let's check it out. So with that being said, what can be a dark channel when it comes down to YouTube? I don't even want to go down there. It's some dark shit on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, YouTube can be dark. And it like, with all the community guidelines and all that stuff going on, I'm surprised channels are even able to, you know what I'm saying? Like or even just be found being a dark channel. Yeah. Because, you know what I'm saying? But it depends on what you mean by darkness. That's if you're referring to, like, you know what I'm saying, stuff that goes on behind the scenes, like their family. Yeah. The woman who's now that's different, you know, because what goes on behind the scenes, you're not getting that on, you know. So with that being said, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box. Down below. You already know where to go. If you want to first support, all you have to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals.
Like it with a thumbs up.
But let's hop into it. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Hi everybody, this is Cheyenne.
Cheyenne Kircher was 14 years old when she disappeared.
You know, I'm really bored. I wonder if I got anything to do. I know what I can do.
October 2011. Flyers are placed around the small town of East Dubuque, Illinois, asking residents for their help in finding a missing 14-year-old girl named Cheyenne Kircher. A well-known member of the community with a notoriously troubled home life, it was perhaps unsurprising when her family woke to find the girl had vanished, leaving behind just a single note stating, "Mom and Dad, you haven't done nothing wrong, but by the time you get this letter, I will be gone. Don't worry about me, I will always love you. You won't find me because I don't want to be found. So at last I say goodbye. Love, Shy." The handwriting was hers, and most importantly, forensic analysts determined that it was not written under any sort of duress, leaving Cheyenne's case rather clean-cut.
How do forensics even know what? I guess because the stroke will be faster.
The stroke, like if it's like shaky, I guess, and
or too much pressure.
Yeah, like too much pressure, like stuff like that. I guess,
but I don't know. It just don't seem like this. I don't know. I'm not.
I mean, I guess that's what you know.
I don't study.
What they do. Yeah.
They studied that.
She was a runaway and had left, at least partially, of her own volition. But why exactly did she leave, and where exactly had she gone? Questions that only grew more pressing as the days turned to weeks, and then months. And before the town knew it, Cheyenne Kircher had been missing for an entire year. And aside from one single note, left in the time period prior to her disappearance, Cheyenne had managed to leave essentially no trail behind. That is, in the physical world at least.
Hi everybody, this is the new profile of Cheyenne.
Despite being described as a fairly socially awkward kid, Cheyenne had found comfort in the world of social media. She frequently posted to her Facebook page and her multiple YouTube channels, which even today sit practically unheard of, with her very first channel hosting just 4 subscribers. But by discovering these accounts, investigators, in turn, were able to catch a glimpse into what life was like for Cheyenne in the years and months leading to her disappearance, with this trail eventually guiding them to one video in particular. A video that exposed a grim secret within the case that stood before them. Whether they knew it or not, when they first found these YouTube channels, they had simultaneously stumbled across the smoking gun and Cheyenne Kircher's disappearance, and inadvertently, one of the darkest channels across all of YouTube.
Dad, look around. I don't want you getting caught in the camera.
Cheyenne was 14 when she disappeared in October 2011.
Where this horrifying accident happened around 3:30.
I came to a realization of something.
I ran over there. I'm bleeding profusely here at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Hi everybody, I'm back and I'm ready for action.
To some, it came as little surprise that Cheyenne would want to leave the house where she had grown up. Cheyenne had lived there with her 3 siblings and her mother, Lori Lyons. And though she never met her biological father, Lori had remarried to a man named Terry Abbas, whom Cheyenne referred to as her dad. But making things a bit more confusing was the fact that Terry wasn't the only adult man that happened to be living with them, since Lori also had her boyfriend, Steve Staver, living with the family as well. This isn't inherently a major issue, but it was something that was criticized by locals who knew of their domestic situation, and likely by Cheyenne's classmates as well.
Huh? The fuck? Her boyfriend?
She got a husband and a boyfriend.
They
all stay in the same roof.
That ain't good, especially with 3 kids.
That's crazy.
Alright. To each his own, man. Y'all do what y'all want to do.
On the topic of said living arrangements, this was far from the most glaring red flag, with that coming in the form of the house itself. When investigators visited the home to interview Cheyenne's family, they were greeted with what one described as the worst smells he had ever experienced. All throughout the house were heaps of trash, dirty laundry, filth, and that unbearable stench. The living conditions were horrendous. Between this, the strange household dynamic, and that note left behind, this seemed to be as straightforward as a runaway case could get. Though it wasn't quite that simple. When police were searching around the home, they realized that Cheyenne had left behind her cell phone, which she was supposedly glued to at all times. But even stranger, she had left her jacket, as well as her shoes, which seemed bizarre considering that winter was quickly approaching, and temperatures were hovering around freezing at this point. So the idea of leaving the house without either of these items made little sense at all, hinting to law enforcement that there may be more to this story than what meets the eye, prompting them to begin poking around her history on social media.
Welcome to that and okay. I don't know. I'm Zilla.
Starting almost exactly a year before she vanished, Cheyenne began posting goofy, nonsensical videos to her very first YouTube channel, Cheyenne 2010.
That's it. I only came fell on my face.
The clips here show Cheyenne's personality, as she's often seen joking around and doing various skits. And though they seem fairly incoherent all these years later, for a child at her age back in 2011, this was the standard for small personal channels. And you can tell that she clearly just enjoyed creating this content, using the channel as sort of an outlet to get thoughts and emotions out into the world, even if practically no one was watching. But dealing with her disappearance specifically, things became far more noteworthy on February 19th, 2011, when Cheyenne launched another YouTube channel called Shy Love 2011.
But somebody had took my account, but I'm back on air and I'm ready to make shows.
The channel was essentially a continuation of her previous account, but eventually she would introduce a new style of content, one that featured her family members as stars of the show. On numerous occasions, we see her younger siblings and her older brother joining in on the fun, with the group all seeming to have a great dynamic together, acting exactly the way you would expect of siblings their age. But by far her most frequent guest was one who rarely, if ever, appeared willingly, and instead would be caught in the background, working at his desk or coming in and out of the room where Cheyenne was filming, with that being Terry Abbas, her stepfather.
My brother Riley. That's that creepy guy that lives downstairs. My stepdad Terry.
Due to the crowded living conditions,
even the way the brother just said that it sends off red flags to me. That creepy guy that stays downstairs, my stepdad. But why the mom got the boyfriend? I'm still like,
I know.
But that's a big red flag though.
Yeah, most definitely.
He stays downstairs. Are y'all not trying to go through a divorce because neither one of y'all can like financially afford the divorce?
Yeah.
And then so y'all was comfortable just being under the roof. He's just be you and your kids upstairs. She's downstairs, and then you decide to get your. That's
the whole dynamic. But hey.
Of her home, Cheyenne never really had her own environment to film in, so she made do with Terry sitting in the background, even throwing some jokes his way as the two would frequently bicker about him being caught on the camera.
There's been a lot of things changing over the news. Dad, look around, please. I don't want you getting caught in the camera.
Cheyenne, why don't you be quiet? I am.
Okay, whatever.
Doing my business.
Okay, okay.
But this never really went past anything other than standard family hostilities. In fact, Cheyenne seemed to love the man that she called Dad, posting about him on numerous occasions across her Facebook page. And as investigators followed the trail across her channel, it seemed that the content on her YouTube page was leading them straight towards a dead end. Until they found the video.
You know, I'm really bored. I wonder if I got anything to do.
A livestream was posted to Cheyenne's channel that spanned just 3 minutes and 35 seconds, with a clip beginning exactly how you'd expect from Cheyenne, before her video is interrupted.
I know what I can do!
As she carried out her introduction to this live video, a man suddenly enters the room with only his lower half in frame. Immediately, Cheyenne turns to him, and her loud, energetic personality does a total 180. She goes quiet, before grabbing the man's arms and whispering, "I'm on a live stream. Be careful." The man acknowledges this with a simple okay, but then proceeds to grab her by what appears to be the neck. This causes Cheyenne to yell stop before falling onto the bed and snapping back into her comedic personality.
Did I say you were in this? No, you weren't.
The man then approaches again and begins slap fighting with her, now switching his personality as well, as he starts playing into the joke, very obviously performing for the camera.
See how abusive? No, he's not abusive. No, stop.
Yes, I am. I'll pull her out.
No.
Alright.
See what I have to go through every day?
The man then leaves after exchanging a few more words, and Cheyenne continues the video as usual.
Man, I don't know what you were going to do today. Can any of my viewers tell me what should I do?
How long in the beginning did he say she was missing for a year?
He said a year has went by.
Yeah.
Still no clues to that end.
Alright.
Yeah.
Would be the last video Cheyenne Kircher would ever upload to YouTube, and months later, she would vanish, never to be seen again. The video insinuates so much: the closeness of the man, the secrecy of it, the way he approached her, and the sudden change in energy from Cheyenne. It all spoke so loudly as to what was happening here, and what had been happening to Cheyenne at the hands of her own stepfather, Terry Abbas.
As you will see, hi Dad. Dad, look around. I don't want you getting caught in the camera.
That's that creepy guy that lives downstairs. Oh, I mean, my stepdad, Terry.
Cheyenne's home life truly was troubled, even more so than detectives could have ever imagined, as they began uncovering stories where Terry had supposedly been spying on Cheyenne in the bathroom, with these accounts eventually growing more and more heinous, as it was eventually alleged that Terry had begun, with this moment captured on Cheyenne's livestream likely being the attempted start of another attack. Only this time, Cheyenne was saved by the camera, if only for a moment. So with this, investigators called Terry in to speak with him as to what really led to Cheyenne going missing, already knowing at this point that he had likely been for years now. And as Terry sat down for his interrogation, it would not take long for the truth to reveal itself.
Well, you got your man. Hey, you got Terry Abbas. Cheyenne is not with us. She's gone. Before I knew it, I was standing over her body.
Wow.
Last time I remember, my hand was over her neck for some reason.
Just over her neck and doing what?
Squeezing, I guess.
As Cheyenne began to grow older, Terry knew that the things he had been doing to her were at a greater risk than ever of being exposed to the world, and Terry didn't trust her to keep that secret, so he had to take care of things himself. One night, he would go into the woods behind the family's home and begin digging, carving out a large hole multiple feet below the surface, the perfect size for a body. The next morning, he would then lure Cheyenne outside of the house under the guise of playing a game, and once they were sufficiently away from the home and covered by thick brush, he wrapped his hands around her neck and began to squeeze, ending her life right then and there before proceeding to bury her body in that pre-dug grave. But if this was the case, then how do you explain the note? Well, to show just how premeditated this all was, about a month before she had vanished, Cheyenne was told by Terry that they were going to pull a prank on her mother, one where she would pretend to run away, leaving behind only a note. But rather than going through with the prank, Terry decided to instead keep that note for a later date, thus giving him the perfect decoy to take any suspicion off him once he carried through with a murder. Terry Abbas was eventually sentenced to life in prison, where he will rot away for the rest of his days. The context.
I kind of figured though, like with the way he was just interacting with them, the situation just didn't sound right with him still being in the house, even though him and the mom. So he probably honestly had hatred towards the mom. It was like, I know her way to get, because these ain't his kids. Even though he raised them, these ain't his kids, so he doesn't have, like, you know what I'm saying? So he probably felt some type of way about the mom. Ain't no telling. But and then you have the board. The whole situation.
The whole situation is just so...
From top to bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. I was about to say the whole situation is just so fucked. But this situation is just so disturbing. I'm like, it's so many people, like, you know, that stay in this house. I mean, it's not a lot, but I mean, it's her brothers, these two men, and her mom. And I'm like, I know stuff.
Basically,
I'm just trying to wrap my head around. Like,
are you trying to say basically somebody possibly had to see something or know something?
I'm just trying to wrap my head around. Has anyone suspected anything or seen anything? Because y'all knew the brother. Then he said that the brother. No, I don't think he said that the brother said. I think he just said that Terry was spying on her at some point or whatever. But for him to even know that information, unless he told that in his interrogation or something like that, I don't know. But the entire situation is just so disturbing. And there's no telling at what age she started doing this.
True, because she had some type of... It was more than a daughter-father connection between them two. It was more like... because he had some type of involvement with her, and it was like an infatuation with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm sorry.
Makes the videos across her channel that much more unsettling, with the worst being that final upload. But what's perhaps most disturbing is that this was just one brief moment in what was likely a constant stream of abuse. And it's absolutely heartbreaking to think of all that Cheyenne had to endure when the cameras weren't rolling.
Facts.
Okay. Bye.
June 3rd, 2009. 15-year-old Roman Pirozek Jr. fires up his remote-controlled helicopter at a small Brooklyn, New York park, while his friend stands by closely with a camera trained at the device. For many, RC flying is viewed as nothing more than a recreational activity, but for Roman, this was more than just a hobby. It was his life, and his passion and practice gave him the ability to perform tricks that, to an outside observer, seem utterly impossible. When Roman's helicopter was in the air, it was as if gravity itself failed to exist, performing stunts that seemed to defy physics, turning the craft sideways, zigzagging it backwards, even upside down in a completely unnatural manner, before stopping it on a dime with expert precision. On YouTube, you can find traces of his work all over, with many videos being posted by various amazed observers, along with clips posted to his own 2 YouTube channels, with this initial upload being his first introduction to YouTube. Through his videos and various public showings, Roman was already becoming known as one of the most compelling pilots in the entire community. And despite his youth, this actually isn't as surprising as it may seem. Flying was in his blood. His father, Roman Pirozek Sr., was a passionate RC pilot himself, even founding and leading a New York City-based club for fellow RC enthusiasts. Over the years, he would teach his son all there was to know about this unique sport, with the two often traveling and competing in various events across the country, and flying recreationally together nearly every single weekend, documenting many of these outings across the Roman Pirozek Jr. channel. But while it's easy to appreciate the talent involved with flying in such a manner, there was an element at play with these tricks that is easy to overlook, especially by simply watching the videos. With that being, the element of danger.
That's what I'm thinking the whole time.
Unlike most RC helicopters that you would expect to see in stores that are mainly geared towards children, the device that Roman was flying is much, much bigger, with the craft measuring in at nearly 3 feet long, featuring blades of a similar size that were made entirely out of carbon fiber. These devices were large and, most importantly, powerful, as it's estimated that this specific craft Roman was using could reach speeds of up to 60 miles per hour, while the blades themselves spun at speeds of over 250 miles per hour, rotating 4,000 times in just a single minute. This craft was not a toy, with pilots online likening it to a flying lawnmower. And with that context, it does make these videos a bit more nerve-wracking, as Roman can be seen flying dangerously close to himself and others on numerous occasions. But of all the various stunts he'd perform, there was one that was by far the most daring. For the trick, Roman would flip his helicopter upside down, managing to keep it in the air all the while, before shooting it upwards as high as it could go, and when it was just nearly out of sight, he would then cut the power, causing the craft to free fall to the ground below, only for Roman to fire it back up and catch the device right before it crash landed. Throughout his channel, I could only find a few examples of him performing that trick, likely due to its high level of danger not only for this expensive machine, but also for himself and the others around him. Though on the 6th of September 2003, Roman decided that it was time to give it another try. That day, Roman had been visiting the Calvert Vaux Park, his favorite flying spot in the entire city, where he would fire up his helicopter and begin his usual run of tricks. Beside him was his father and 4 close friends who looked on as Roman executed yet another flawless run, and riding that momentum, he was ready to tackle his toughest stunt. Only there was a slight problem. According to one of the young men watching on, something strange began happening with the device. There was something wrong with the helicopter. I've seen many of Roman's videos. I was looking at the helicopter as it took off and I noticed strange oscillations. There was an imbalance somewhere there. Something was off slightly. It was minute. Whatever was happening with Roman's craft seemed minor, so much so that Roman himself didn't even notice it, or he didn't think that it would cause any issues, as he decided to perform the final trick anyway. And so he flipped the helicopter upside down, raised it up to the bright sky above him, and took his thumb off.
I just don't even want to hear how this turns out, cause I'm like,
Cause when I first seen it, when it first came on with this story, I was like, them blades big. And then just the way that they spin and where they're located, I guess how maybe it just looks like that because when it spins so fast, it's like the illusion. I don't know, but I don't know. It looks scary. Yeah. It does look scary.
Shit, I won't play with.
The helicopter then fell limp in the sky as it began its rapid plunge below, with Roman, his friends, and his father all watching on as it grew closer and closer to them. Before, he slammed his finger back on the control stick and fired up the rotors to catch the craft. Only he did so just a second too late.
Oh, wow.
Well, Christine, we are at Calvert Vaux Park, where this horrifying accident happened around 3:30 this afternoon. And it's where Roman Pirozek and his friends came on a regular basis. But today, Pirozek's flight, it took a horrible turn. Roman Pirozek was out in this field on a picture-perfect Thursday, flying his model chopper when it came crashing down, the blades slashing his throat and killing him.
The guy was flying the helicopter and we're not controlling. It decapitated him.
Officials say Pirozek was out here with 4 friends. They all witnessed the horrifying crash.
It's not fully understood what exactly happened, if it truly was some sort of mechanical issue, the wind speed, or if it was simply mistimed by Roman. But despite the helicopter turning on and its blades nearly instantly reaching their full speed, the craft was not able to stop in time to avoid a crash landing. And although the weather was clear and sunny that day, a strong breeze had pushed the craft towards Roman as it fell, meaning that instead of crashing on the grass in front of him, the RC helicopter instead would crash directly into him. The blade first struck Roman's face, impacting with such a strong force that it nearly cut his head clean in half. before the blade would then strike his neck, partially decapitating him. All the while, his friends and father watched on in horror. Within a split second, Roman Pirozek Jr. was dead, killed by the very sport he loved so dearly. When Roman posted his first video to YouTube, there was no way of knowing where his passion would take him and what it would all lead to. And at this time, it's evident just how dark this channel has become due to the backstory surrounding it. But there's also another perspective here to consider, as through the darkness, there's actually something quite beautiful about his channel, as thanks to it, his incredible work has been forever immortalized. And despite Roman's death, his passion for piloting RC helicopters and his extraordinary skill will live on and continue to leave people amazed for years to come.
I ain't like he was skilled at it though, bro.
He definitely was.
I remember doing those as a kid and like wanting the big ones, but they're so expensive that I never was able to get one. Yeah. But I used to be like, man, I want to just get one of them helicopters, just fly around outside. Yeah. But man, that's tragic. And then for his dad and his friends to witness that. Yeah. That's traumatizing in itself. Yeah. Just to witness it. And then the fact that his dad has lost his son, friends have lost, and the manner of it. And how, right. That's horrible, man.
It started with a simple video.
How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be talking about fitness as a whole and the challenges it brings.
Posted by Austin Harrouff, an 18-year-old college student living in Juniper, Florida, Fitness Challenges and Overcome was the inaugural upload to his YouTube channel called A Frost. Having lived his entire life in the area, Austin had developed a reputation locally for being goofy, but also intelligent and driven, finding a deep love for fitness upon taking up football and bodybuilding at a young age. And in his first upload, his passion and personality were on full display as he shared his thoughts on the world of dieting and weightlifting, with the video's sole purpose being to help others who may want to follow in a similar path.
It's pretty tough, man. It's not easy, but nothing in life worth having is easy. Remember that, guys. You remember that? You remember that? I remember. You gotta promise me that you'll remember that.
It seemed apparent that Austin aspired to develop a career online as a fitness coach, and despite this being his first crack at launching a YouTube channel, he does come across as being articulate and likable. And aside from some general awkwardness due to the lack of polished editing, Austin appears entirely normal, a stark contrast to what was soon to come. Despite launching his channel on a concise high note, the next 27 uploads would take on a much different tone, as rather than keying in on health and wellness, Austin immediately shifted his focus onto writing and performing rap music under his new alias, Austy Frosty.
Frostbite beats. I'm Rufi, Bill Cosby, Show. Get him to show me his P.E.P.
This music is not for everyone, to the point where it's almost indiscernible from irony. However, the persistence of his uploading hints that this went far past your standard joking, as there were moments in these songs where it genuinely felt like it was coming from a different person entirely.
There's a hobo on the street corner, and he says, real talk, homeboy. Oi, 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 oi.
Someone who seemed somewhat disconnected from reality, as hinted at further, when he eventually returned to the camera's forefront.
What's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk about the ketogenic diet.
After his run of consecutive music uploads, Austin began appearing on camera yet again, where his once articulate and well-put-together self began moving and speaking more sporadically.
And other low-starch vegetables like spinach. With my baby, with my baby, yeah. Get hoes, get money, get big, get suits, fly planes, run train. I'm a man.
Even his editing began to change, with unusual clips being interjected for no discernible reason.
Ketosis helps your body get into this caloric deficit. Cutting carbohydrates may sound difficult.
Even given the small sample size, it was clear that Austin's behavior was changing. And although traces of this changing persona were starting to be seen on his YouTube channel, this behavioral shift was far more evident for those who knew him personally. Starting around the time that the A. Frost channel had launched, Austin's once fun-loving personality became cold and hostile to those around him, which was mainly due to the fact that Austin began to experience what he would later call visions. He would turn off his lights to go to sleep at night, only to be met with the sight of demons and monsters who would approach him from the shadows. And soon, these creatures began appearing everywhere he went, especially in the darkness, prompting Austin to stop sleeping, as he grew paranoid of what these things might do to him. As a result, his mental state fluctuated even more, and he soon thought that perhaps he was a divine being himself, a god of sorts, maybe even Jesus Christ. His descent was jarring and extremely concerning, and at the rate he was going, it seemed certain that something was bound to snap. Until a breakthrough.
I came to a realization of something. I no longer want to follow Arnold or any other bodybuilder. I want to follow myself, you know? I want to actually believe in myself.
In his video entitled What I'm About in Bodybuilding, we see a side of Austin that hadn't come through since really his very first upload, as he sits down in front of the camera and just lets loose, speaking candidly about his fitness journey and the path that he was on.
I just know that they're not me, you know? I know what's right for me. I don't need drugs. I know that they can change me. But the thing is, that's not being healthy, you know? Being healthy is what's natural, you know?
He spoke of wanting to do things his way and how he was striving to be the most healthy version of himself, both physically and mentally. It's almost shocking how calm Austin seems here, just based on his prior uploads. But despite appearing like a positive sign on the surface that Austin was perhaps finally getting the help he needed, there was still an air of uncertainty to it all. And there was really no way to know at the time whether his demeanor in this video was a sign of better
Peace out. Peace.
or worse things to come. On the afternoon of August 15th, 2006, Austin had joined his father and his father's girlfriend out for a nice dinner, with the family taking their seats and waiting to place their orders. But Austin wanted no part of it, as he sat there silently, his mind stewing all the while, until he just couldn't take it anymore. For some reason, it was all just too much, and he stood up and left the establishment without saying more than a few words. Outside, he began to walk, then jog, and then run, sprinting in the direction of his mother's house who lived nearby. He barged into the then empty home and felt the overwhelming urge to chug the nearest liquid he saw, but it wasn't alcohol or anything close. No, it was vegetable oil, as he guzzled down nearly a full bottle of it before leaving the home and heading back towards the restaurant, this time confronting his father, yelling and even attempting to hit him for no apparent reason whatsoever. Once more, he just couldn't take it, and he fled the restaurant again, as his mind felt as if it was crumbling with each passing second, until...
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, I did too, because I was like, his face looks so familiar, but I can't put the story behind the face.
But
I didn't know all the other details.
That was left out of the previous story. We didn't know nothing about him having a YouTube.
I didn't know he had a YouTube. I didn't know
trying
about
to do the rapping stuff.
The rapping stuff. Do we know about the fitness stuff?
No.
I didn't know about the fitness.
I wonder why he was so strong.
I didn't know about any rights. Because if I knew those details, I was like, okay, that makes... I'm thinking it was just maybe because of what the stuff he was like, you know, like mentally.
Can steroids alter the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they say.
And if you notice, he also said, I don't want to do the drugs.
The drugs, I want to do it, you know, my way, the natural way, or whatever the case.
Is a possibility
that was altering.
But also, with him going to college, partying, liquor,
other things like
from me being around, because you know he was the one that was also in the frat.
Mm-hmm.
Me being around guys who've been in frats and stuff, whether it's black frats or white frats, seen them party.
Yeah.
And one of my roommates was a heavy frat boy. Partying, drinking every weekend. Smoking down there every day. And I'm talking about, I was a junior, he was a freshman. Yeah. And cause we was like, bro, you need to chill. Like, you know what I'm saying? Me and my other roommate, we had already been roommates. We was like, bro, you need to, you know what I'm saying, chill out a little bit. He started going to the other roommate, buying Zans off of his girl because she had prescriptions. But he was just a drug abuser. Yeah. And I'm like, man, like, what is it? He came from a good family. Yeah. Came from good, hardworking father, made good money. Mom made good money. And it's just like, he just was a loose cannon. Yeah. But also, if he's doing all that, including the steroids, you're doing so fucking much. Right. And it could be fucking your mental.
Yeah, most definitely.
No, like, those details were not in the story at all.
That we see initially.
Yeah, the initial. It makes. Yeah. And no wonder why he was so. Because I was like, how is he so fucking strong? No
like,
wonder.
Knowing these details is kind of like, oh, okay. Like, he's really getting the full. You getting the full story. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Outside and was met by the sight of something utterly horrific. It looked like some sort of creature standing there just staring at him. He screamed at the top of his lungs and began sprinting away into the dark night. He ran as fast as he could, desperately calling for help, desperately looking for help, until he saw a bright light in the distance. Salvation, he thought, as he sprinted towards it and then directly into the light.
Do you need fire, police, or medical?
Please, and medical. Don't open that. Don't open that.
Fire rescue, what's your address?
Young man, a woman, across the street.
Okay, are they outside or in a house?
It's in a garage.
Shortly after Austin began hallucinating, a 911 call was made to police in the area, alerting them of an attack in progress. A middle-aged woman was being brutally beaten in her garage as her screams echoed throughout the empty street. Police would arrive within minutes, where they shine their light in that same garage, only to be met with a grisly discovery. Inside, a woman lay motionless, her body hardly recognizable due to the assault that she had endured, while next to her were two men. One was lying limp, his body hacked into pieces scattered about, and the other was wrapped around him, with his face buried in the man's abdomen. Officers approached, guns drawn, where they would finally catch a glimpse of the second man's face. It was Austin Harrouff, whose body was completely covered in blood, and his mouth filled entirely with flesh, spitting out chunks of the man's torso towards the officers before going back in for more, this time attacking his face. In that moment, Austin was quite literally eating this man, and eating him alive, as despite being cut into pieces and partially eaten, the man continued to scream, which made shooting Austin impossible without the risk of killing him too. The police yelled at him to stop, but nothing. They tased him, but nothing. They kicked him, they beat him, but still nothing. He just kept on eating. They even sent their canine in to subdue and attack him, but Austin somehow fought it off. In that moment, it was as if Austin were truly invincible. It wouldn't be until officers got a handcuff around him and the entire unit pulled together that they were finally able to drag Austin off of the man, ending the ordeal once and for all. When Austin was sprinting into the night, that light that he was running towards was actually an open garage in a residential neighborhood, where inside a woman named Michelle Stevens had been relaxing and watching television, waving to the passing neighbors, until she saw Austin sprinting towards her. There was nothing she could do, as without provocation, he brandished a pocket knife and began attacking her mercilessly, before turning his attention to her husband, John Stevens III, who desperately tried to intervene. At some point in the scuffle, neighbor Jeffrey Fisher would hear the commotion and immediately run over to help, only for Austin to turn to him and warn him that he didn't want any of this, before lunging after him, stabbing him too multiple times. Jeffrey managed to escape by slamming Austin's head into the ground, partially cracking his skull. But somehow, the young man got right back up and continued to fight as if nothing had happened. And recognizing the grave danger, Jeffrey fled to his home where he called the police.
He beat her up. I ran over there. I'm bleeding profusely here at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
All right.
I didn't know he could crack half it, like parts of his skull.
It didn't even phase him, because whatever trance he in, it didn't even phase him.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Now, some of the details we did know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like, as far as the
that's
attack and stuff, like, we knew.
Just,
like, those just...
So just imagine, we got two stories, right? The story we have watched prior. Then we got this story. We like, damn, bro. Like, we didn't know about his story, but all this... Just imagine the other information we don't know.
Facts.
Over there, I'm bleeding profusely here at the moment.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
All right. Can you tell if she's conscious or is she unconscious?
Well, my wife's looking at my back, and it appears I got punctured.
Just that. In the neck, in the head, three puncture wounds.
Who would arrive soon after and eventually restrain Austin. But not before he had ended the lives of Michelle and John Stevens, both of whom were eventually pronounced dead on the scene.
How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be talking about fitness.
Austin's channel gives us a front row seat to a man's descent into madness. But even watching it back today with all the red flags, the idea that he could be capable of something like this just seems so shocking. Which begs the question, why did he do it? Well, the attack itself was entirely unprovoked. He had never even met the couple, and the couple had never even spoke to the man. And given what could only be described as his superhuman strength in that moment, many would assume that this was the case of drug use gone wrong, with it having shades of a similar case that happened not too far away.
People behaving strangely and showing what appears to be superhuman strength. Over the weekend, Rudy Eugene attacked a 65-year-old homeless man, chewing off most of his face.
But contrary to this belief, it was determined that during the attack, Austin was not under the influence of any hard drugs, and instead only had tiny trace amounts of alcohol and THC in his system, but not nearly enough to cause the violence that transpired that day. Rather, experts claim that this was the case of an acute psychotic episode, with court documents shedding more light on Austin's mental health during that moment, where he would account his visions of these creatures and all the other delusions he had been experiencing. And even though he was never given proper help for what was eventually determined to be his schizophrenia, his parents clearly recognized that he could be a danger to himself and to others, with his mother even calling the police after he had ran away from the restaurant that night.
Police Department Lunch Recorded. Is this Chrissy?
Yes, I don't know how to do this. My son, he's kind of taken off, and I'm concerned about his own safety.
But the only problem was, it was just a bit too late.
4 hours after the incident.
Due to the results of Austin's drug test, it was determined that he was not of sound mind when the crime was committed, and that he would not have been able to consciously control himself, leading to the court's decision that he would not serve any jail time, and rather he was placed in a mental health facility, where he'll remain until...
Hold on. Just because of the alcohol and THC in his system.
What about
I know the results of the trial. I know the results. But he said due to the testing. Let me take it back.
Austin's drug test, it was determined that he was not of sound mind when the crime was committed, and that he would not have been able to consciously control himself, leading to the court's decision that he would not serve any jail time, and rather he was placed in a mental health facility, where he'll remain until he's deemed safe to assimilate back into society.
Just because of alcohol, THC.
Due to alcohol, THC. And then I'm pretty sure, I know that was said, but I'm pretty sure they probably took into account the testing of his brain and stuff like that, and whatever they diagnosed him with. I guess that's probably why as well.
I need to look at the full ruling. Honestly, he does come from wealth, so he just had a good-ass lawyer.
But
a great-ass lawyer, because just alcohol and THC doesn't... Because most people, when they do crimes and murders, a lot of them being under the influence of rather alcohol or THC. So that's the count. A lot of people will be able to get off just But Florida, man, come
yeah.
on, that's Florida.
And I forgot that it was just that it was alcohol and THC in his system. I forgot that they had found that, and it was just only that they stated that they found in his system.
The only thing with me, I'm thinking, like, I understand that was the only thing in his system at that time, but also what drug use has he had while he was in school, off, away from family? Because obviously, bodybuilder workout, he mentioned doing drugs and stuff. So 9 times out of 10, steroids. If we looking at the party aspect of college, not everybody does it. I'm not saying, but it's a lot of people heavily use drugs and stuff. And I did forget the years, 2006. I did forget that 1 year bath salt thing was an epidemic going on in and they were lacing it with your marijuana. So a lot of people were smoking it and not even knowing. Because like how we got the fentanyl epidemic going on right now, they were lacing marijuana with fentanyl. They were lacing bath salts with marijuana back in the day, back during that time. So he could have hit something one time and it's in his system. It might not show up, but it has altered his brain cells. So that's one thing I took from when we first heard about the case. I said it might not be in his system right now, but he possibly have had something that altered him immediately. And over time, it's just a trickle effect, whether it was the alcohol, also marijuana, also, along with possibly steroids. Not saying that's what he was doing, but it's a possibility he did that as well. And I do know he is in a psych facility. Will he ever get out? We don't know because the room was just done on that not too long ago. So
whenever like they said, when they deem them,
would they ever deem them?
If they ever deem them,
because the medication they put you on in there, you might as well just be on.
Yeah, and then there's no telling, or I'm wondering if you can like really say like, hey, they won't have like another episode again or whatever the case may be, and like go back into what because again I really don't understand like because we did hear his case, but I didn't really understand. That's why I brought up the that he was just alcohol and THC, because I didn't really understand why, if that was the only thing in his system. When we heard the story the first time, I was like, okay, well, what has he been doing prior to just this alcohol and THC, being in his system? Or is it something like really like mentally going on? But then I'm just like, if that's the case, I'm pretty sure he showed many signs before. He should have been got help, So it was just kind of confusing to me when I first heard the story, and it's still a little confusing to me.
And if it was more drugs than just alcohol, THC, the family ain't gonna know, because a lot of times kids in college don't tell their parents, like, hey, I'm doing Mom, popping pills, hey, Dad, I'm sniffing this. Shit. You ain't
just
gonna
so you know.
They cool with telling, I drink a little bit, y'all smoke a little bit, because those aren't deemed as harmful.
That's harmful.
Because if he only was doing alcohol and THC, like if he literally only doing smoking some weed and doing a little beer or liquor or something, I doubt he's gonna have a psychotic breakdown like that.
Yeah.
Like, I've been around people who smoke and drink at the same exact time. They just be high. So
I would like to know, because we just get bits and pieces, the main, So I would like to know, like, actually see like full like other stuff maybe that they could have like deemed him to possibly be on, or or y'all just deemed it as being like a psychotic breakdown or something like that.
Because he showed multiple because I remember even from then he showed multiple instances even prior to all of that, that the family was very afraid and very aware. And at one point he had to go live with his dad, because his mom and dad were separated. And so he had to go live with his dad at one point, live with his mom at one point, bouncing from household to household, neither one of them. But I did not know he had a YouTube channel at all.
I didn't know that.
And you can see the change in behavior happen a lot.
Facts.
So
these stories were sad. Rest in peace to everyone that lost their lives that was mentioned in this story.
Facts, man.
And these stories, sorry.
But y'all spam us up. Let us know y'all thoughts about it in the comment section for us down below if you could. But as always, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is. We are. We are.
Go and get it. Ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please